Hello everyone, it's Josh from What Culture, and I'm afraid to say I'm coming to you with bad news, because it's the end of the line for HBO's Westworld. I know, WB Discovery strikes again. Now this is all sadly confirmed as HBO recently announced that the Wild West sci-fi TV show will be coming to an end and crucially not be getting a fifth and final season to wrap things up. And I know, right, this kind of seems weird. I'm actually as surprised as you are because I did not even know that this still happened in the modern TV landscape. I mean, after all, maybe I'm blanking, but when was the last time we got a major TV show like this that has such a cultural imprint that got cancelled without the story getting finished? Now, the TV show itself, which premiered in 2016, was in the middle of a storyline pitting humanity against the robotic hosts when its cancellation came in. And while a final run wasn't at all confirmed, it really did look likely. No matter the show, it's usually in the best interest of networks these days to, allow it to be finished. It kind of feels like, as I alluded to earlier, well long past the days of something just getting cut off right near the end without at least a shorter season or even a TV movie to wrap the story up. Especially when it comes to HBO shows that they've already sunk so much money into. Not only that though, but this decision comes hot on the heels of Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan, those being the co-creators of Westworld, talking about how they wanted to see a fifth season happen, and even that they had a story in mind of how they wanted to wrap the whole show up. Even more baffling, the star-studded ensemble cast, which is just absolutely packed to the gills with actors two of them right here, they were apparently all locked down for this fifth season, having renegotiated their deals just before season 4 started filming. Now though, they've just been told that they're not needed. So what the hell went wrong for a show with 54 Emmy nominations and a first season that broke a whole load of viewership records when it first came out? Well, apparently a lot. Though you wouldn't really know that because the official cancellation statement that HBO has put out is incredibly vague and kind of abrupt, not giving us too many details into why they've decided that this is the best time to end the show. In fact, in their official statement via The Hollywood Reporter, they said, quote, "Over the past 4 seasons, Lisa and Jonathan have taken viewers on a mind-bending odyssey, raising the bar at every step. We are tremendously grateful to them, along with their immensely talented cast, producers and crew, and all of our partners at Kilter Films, Bad Robot and Warner Brothers Television. It's been a thrill to join them on this journey," end quote. So yeah, no official reason, no elaboration, just show's over folks. Hope you tune in for the next one. Now, as pointed out by The Hollywood Reporter, it was just last month that Jonathan Nolan was talking about his hopes for a fifth season and how discussions were ongoing with the network to finish the story. Likewise, as reported by Deadline, the entire cast is having to be paid their full salaries for the now cancelled season thanks to a pay-or-play contract that they all negotiated just before season 4. And according to Deadline sources, this will cost them between $10 and $15 million just to pay their salaries for a season they're not actually doing any work for. Yeah, that's a pretty cushy job, isn't it? But why such a drastic decision? Well, it turns out that in the grand scheme of things, actually finishing the story would have cost the studio so much more than the $15 million upper limit that they'll be paying out to the cast. Over the past decade, HBO has of course made a name for itself in producing the most lavish TV shows imaginable, trying to rival the cinematic big screen spectacle, all on your small screen or on TV or tablets or wherever the hell you stream HBO. And Westworld absolutely falls under that remit, with it being an incredibly expensive show to produce. In fact, according to that same Deadline report I mentioned earlier, it took $100 million to produce season 3 of Westworld. So yeah, this is an incredibly expensive show. And even with a potential episode cut, the increased salaries would have seen HBO having to risk tens of millions of dollars to finish things up in a way that did the show justice based on its previous production values. Like, yeah, maybe they could have cut corners, but who would have even wanted the show to be wrapped up in that way if it didn't live up to the promise of the spectacle of the first 4 runs? So at a base level, it just seems like that cost just couldn't be justified when the show itself isn't bringing in the same viewers that it once was, and in fact has dropped dramatically over the years and as the seasons have worn on. According to Deadline sources, the main reason for the cancellation is simply that not enough people were tuning in to this incredibly expensive show. Now, it's important to note that they were in the beginning, with the first season of Westworld averaging about 1.8 million viewers an episode. However, that number had fallen drastically by the time the fourth season aired, which only got 300,000 viewers on average every episode. That is a steep decline and less than half of Season 3's 800,000 viewers an episode. So, why such a drastic drop? Well, a steady critical decline, frustratingly twisty plots, and the lengthy 2-year waits between seasons certainly didn't help matters. Put simply, the show itself hasn't received the lavish critical praise or even die-hard fandom that might have been able to offset the decline in viewers. It's not like this was winning Emmy over Emmy or being rated 99% in Rotten Tomatoes every year. And in their write-up on NPR, The Ringer's Joanna Robinson was quoted as explaining that a, quote, general dissatisfaction amongst the fandom would have contributed to HBO's decision to cancel Westworld. Of course, the show's cancellation hasn't happened in a vacuum, and there are things to think about rather than the base facts of viewers versus budget. As alluded to at the beginning of the year, HBO's parent company, Warner Bros. Discovery, has been, for lack of a better phrase, kind of been going ham all year so far. You want to get nuts? They've been getting nuts. I already covered in another video the absolute garbage fire that was the Batgirl cancellation, with the company opting to trash an entire completed movie, allegedly, as a tax write-off to save some money. The company has been making big changes across all of their departments though, with some pretty major projects and entire companies and subsidiaries being caught in the crossfire. It just seems like nothing is safe at the moment, with a big alteration or change to their business happening seemingly every other week or so that directly impacts projects like this. They've also announced aggressive cost-cutting measures going forward to try and save over $3 billion, and the Deadline report even features this ominous quote from CEO David Zaslav. Quote, "The grand experiment of creating anything at any cost is over," end quote. And doesn't that just sound, well, incredibly ominous? Of course, it is important to note that that quote in particular is not about Westworld and was actually just said at a recent earnings call when Zaslav was talking about how the business generally is going to move going forward. But still, it's hard to not look at Westworld's $100 million price tag and that quote and make some kind of connection across the board. That said, it is important to note that the Hollywood Reporter does state in their write-up that according to their sources, quote, saving money was not a factor in the show's cancellation. And yeah, while that is probably true for this specific instance, it is still worth noting that WB Discovery's approach across the board and going forward will be to save money where they can. So you can imagine that pressure is going to be on HBO's biggest shows going forward, and anything that doesn't have the ratings to match their massive budgets could face the chop sooner than we're used to. Or hell, maybe this just means less risks across the board and more focus on franchise and spin-offs to their biggest IPs. With the likes of House of the Dragon proving to be major successes for the networks and pushing that budgetary bar even higher, maybe it just means that going forward we'll get fewer shows, but the shows that do get made have bigger budgets and, like I said, are maybe safer bets from established IP. Whatever the wider ramifications, ultimately, it just sucks that Westworld got cancelled and won't get a proper finale. It was one of the longest standing prestige series still going and did have a lot to offer fans despite the dwindling viewers and the more muted reception to its quality. It's a shame that Nolan and Joy won't get to finish their story and shows that while we might be in a kinda era of TV overall, where shows will usually be finished in one capacity or another, that's still not guaranteed. Sometimes a good old-fashioned surprise cancellation is inevitable, whether you're on the CW or whether you're on HBO. And sadly, personally, I do think that the streaming bubble is kind of over, at least that era of these massively budgeted TV shows being produced and being continued despite the ratings that they were bringing in. It seems that between HBO, Netflix, and everyone else, they're more eager to cancel things now rather than push forward and hope to get some kind of return in the future. More importantly though, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. I've talked far too long in this video, so first, let me know what you think about Westworld being cancelled. Are you gutted that it didn't get a final season, or did you drop off after season 2? And secondly, what do you think about TV generally right now and where we're at with the big networks and the big streamers? And what do you think of David Zaslav's comments and WB Discovery's approach in general? I'm sure you, like me, will have a lot of thoughts on that and the ramifications it may have had. But yes, I promised to shut up, so please, if you could, give us a like, share, subscribe before you click out of this video, and head over to What Culture for more lists and news like this every single day. Even if you don't, though, I've been Josh. Thanks so much for watching this, and I'll see you soon.